Welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures that can change ordinary lives into extraordinary ones overnight. And today we are going to talk about one of the most remarkable, mysterious, and extremely valuable coins that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and investors around the globe. The 1978 1-cent coin that has been valued as high as $4 million because of its unique errors, minting mistakes, and rare anomalies that make it a legend in numismatics. And while most people would dismiss a simple penny as worthless pocket change, the truth is that under the right conditions and due to specific errors, a coin that was supposed to be worth just a cent can transform into one of the most sought-after treasures in the entire world. So if you are watching this video, make sure to pay close attention to every detail because you may very well have one of these coins hiding in your collection, in a forgotten jar, or even tucked away in an old wallet, and if you do, then you are sitting on a fortune worth millions. And what makes the 1978 1-cent so valuable is the story it carries, the minting errors it bears, and the circumstances that gave birth to these anomalies which were never intended to see the light of day. Yet somehow they slipped through the strict minting process and into circulation where only the sharpest eyes could detect them, and one of the first errors that makes the 1978 penny so incredibly valuable is the presence of a double-dyed obverse where the details on Abraham Lincoln's profile, his nose, lips, eye, and especially the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date itself 1978 appear doubled under magnification, creating a dramatic effect that even a casual observer can notice if they look closely. And this doubling occurred due to a misalignment when the die was created, a rare mishap that results in only a handful of such coins existing. And since rarity is the cornerstone of value in numismatics, this error instantly sets such coins apart, pushing their value from a cent to hundreds of thousands, and in the case of pristine condition examples up into the millions. But that is just one error, because the 1978 penny also comes with off-center strikes where the coin design was not properly aligned with the planchet, and therefore parts of the design are missing or cut off, creating a bizarre yet fascinating look that collectors crave. And the more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially when the date 1978 is still visible, since that is the identifying element that ties it to this particular year. And then we have the broadstrike errors where the collar that normally contains the coin during minting fails, allowing the metal to spread outwards, giving the coin a wider and flatter appearance, which makes it stand out immediately when placed beside a normal penny. And once again, these errors are not common, and only a few pieces escape the mint like this, making them priceless for collectors who want to own something that is one of a kind. And then there are clipped planchet errors where a portion of the coin is missing due to a blank being improperly punched out of the metal sheet, leaving behind a curved or straight missing piece, which when combined with a 1978 date becomes even rarer. And another intriguing error comes in the form of transitional planchet mistakes where due to oversight a penny may have been struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, for example struck on a dime planchet, nickel planchet, or even a foreign coin blank. And these transitional errors are some of the most expensive mistakes because they represent accidents that were never supposed to happen, yet once they did and were released into circulation they became instant rarities. And the 1978 penny has also been discovered in proof-like errors where the finish is unlike ordinary circulation strikes, making them appear shinier and more detailed than the regular issue, which again adds to the mystery and desirability. And what's more is that collectors also chase repunched mint marks, especially the 1978 pennies that were minted in Denver carrying the D mint mark, because in some cases the mint mark was punched more than once, leading to an overlapping effect that is visible under magnification. And for specialists this is an exciting find, since each variety of repunching can be catalogued, studied, and assigned its own rarity factor, which drives demand even higher. And then there are die cracks and cuds where the dies used to strike the coin developed breaks and imperfections, causing raised lines or blobs of metal to appear on the coin's surface. And while some might see this as damage, collectors see it as the fingerprint of the minting process gone wrong. A moment in time frozen into metal that tells the story of how the machinery failed. And these types of errors add enormous charm and historical value. And when you combine all these possibilities together, from double dies to off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, transitional errors, repunched mintmarks, die cracks and cuds, you realize that the 1978 penny is not just a coin but a canvas of human error, industrial imperfection, and sheer luck. And the reason it can fetch up to $4 million is because of the extreme rarity of finding one with dramatic and clear errors in mint state condition, meaning it has survived decades without scratches, wear, or damage, making it a true gem in the world of numismatics. And let us not forget the importance of history, because the late 1970s was a period of change in the United States economy. Inflation was on the rise, the mint was under pressure to produce coins efficiently, and in that rush small mistakes could have slipped through. And while millions of 1978 pennies were produced, only a handful with these striking errors managed to escape detection, which is why finding one is like striking gold. And think about the irony here. A coin that was dismissed as worthless change is now commanding prices higher than luxury cars, mansions, or even some businesses. And that is the beauty of numismatics. It teaches us to value the overlooked, to recognize rarity, and to appreciate history pressed into metal. And when collectors bid on a 1978 penny at auctions, the excitement is palpable because everyone knows they are competing for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a chance to own a piece of history that will likely never surface again. And auction records have shown that whenever such a coin appears, bidding wars erupt, driving prices to astronomical levels. And experts believe that as time goes on and more collectors enter the hobby, the demand will only rise, pushing the value of rare era pennies like the 1978 one even higher. So if you are watching this video, I encourage you to go through your collections, search those jars of coins, check your old piggy banks and coin rolls, because you never know when you might stumble upon one of these treasures, and if you do, the discovery could change your life forever. And what makes it even more exciting is that every coin has its own story, its own unique set of marks, errors, or patterns, which makes no two pieces exactly alike, and in the world of collecting, uniqueness is everything. So imagine the pride of holding a 1978 penny that carries a dramatic double die error, or an off-center strike with the date perfectly intact, or a transitional planchet error that makes it one of the only known examples in existence. That is why collectors are willing to pay millions, because it is not just a coin, it is history, art, rarity, and investment all rolled into one. And as the years pass, the number of surviving examples will only decrease because of loss, damage, or coins being locked away in private collections forever, which makes the available ones even more precious. And this is why the 1978 1 cent valued at $4 million is not just a story about money but a story about history, human error, and the treasures hidden in plain sight. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and remember that sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest value and the most incredible stories. And that is the magic of the 1978 penny worth millions. Welcome back to our channel, where we explore the most fascinating and jaw-dropping stories from the world of coin collecting and numismatics. And today's journey takes us directly into the heart of one of the most surprising and valuable treasures ever discovered in ordinary circulation, the 1979 D. Lincoln 1 cent coin, which has stunned collectors, dealers, and historians alike by being valued at as much as $3 million, not because of what it was supposed to be, a simple penny worth just 1 cent, but because of what it became due to a combination of minting errors, anomalies, and unusual characteristics that transformed it from ordinary pocket change into one of the most extraordinary and priceless coins in existence. And as we dive into this story, I want to remind you that millions of coins are minted every single year, most of which look identical and follow the same design without flaws. But within those millions, there are always a tiny handful of survivors that carry the fingerprints of human error, mechanical malfunction, or rare transitional circumstances that make them stand out. And those are the coins that become legends, the coins that auction houses write headlines about, the coins that collectors fight tooth and nail to own. And the 1979 D penny is a shining example of how something so small can command the attention of the entire numismatic world. Because what we are talking about is not just a piece of copper-plated zinc or bronze alloy, but rather a living artifact of American history, minted in Denver in 1979 during a time of economic turbulence and rising inflation, when the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins quickly and efficiently. And yet, in that high pressure environment, mistakes slipped through, mistakes that created treasures, mistakes that today are worth millions. And if you happen to be one of the lucky people who holds one of these 1979 D pennies with the right kind of errors, then you could be sitting on a life-changing fortune. So let us explore what makes this particular coin so valuable, and why it has earned a spot among the most expensive pennies ever discovered. And one of the primary reasons lies in the double-die obverse variety that has been reported for this year, where Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front of the coin shows a noticeable doubling in the inscriptions such as, "In God we trust, liberty," and the date itself 1979, and even subtle doubling on Lincoln's eye or lips can dramatically increase the coin's value. And when such doubling is dramatic and visible to the naked eye, collectors line up to pay extraordinary sums. But the 1979 D penny also carries other fascinating error types, such as off-center strikes where the coin design is shifted away from the center, leaving part of the design missing or cut off. And when the date and mintmark are still intact despite the off-center strike, that coin instantly becomes more desirable because it is both rare and easily attributable. And the more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. And then we have broadstrike errors where the retaining collar that normally keeps the coin's shape during striking fails, causing the coin to expand outward into a strange and eye-catching form that is instantly recognizable as a mint error. And once again, rarity comes into play, since only a handful of such coins escape detection at the mint. And then there are clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is missing due to the blank being improperly cut from the sheet of metal, leaving a curved or sometimes straight missing edge. And when you combine such an error with the 1979 D mintmark, it creates a one-of-a-kind collectible that no two people in the world may own. And then we move into the realm of transitional errors, which are among the most valuable in all of numismatics. Because transitional errors occur when a coin is struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, or a planchet intended for another denomination or even another country. And for the 1979 D penny, examples have been discovered struck on dime planchets or nickel planchets, which makes them extraordinarily rare, since such mistakes should never have been allowed to leave the mint, and yet when they did, they created million-dollar rarities that collectors chase for a lifetime. And another error variety comes in the form of repunched mintmarks, a feature especially common with Denver minted coins, where the letter D was hand-punched more than once onto the die, resulting in overlapping or shadowed mintmarks that vary from subtle to dramatic, and collectors love cataloging and studying these varieties because each one is different, and the more dramatic and well-preserved the repunching, the more valuable the coin becomes. And then we also see die cracks and die cuds in the 1979 D pennies where the minting dies developed breaks during use, resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal that appear on the coin's surface. And while casual observers might dismiss these as imperfections, in the world of coin collecting they represent rare anomalies that tell the story of the mint's struggles and human error during production, making them highly collectible and sometimes even more valuable than standard errors. And when you add in all of these possibilities, you begin to understand why the 1979 D penny has become a legend worth millions, because it is not just one error that makes it special, but the wide array of errors combined with its historical context, scarcity, and survival in high-grade condition, because condition is key in numismatics, and while lower-grade coins with these errors may sell for thousands or tens of thousands, the rare specimens that survive in mint state or uncirculated condition with their luster intact are the ones that skyrocket to values as high as $3 million, and these coins are not just valuable because of the errors they carry but also because of the story they tell, because every scratch, every anomaly, every double die or clipped edge is a window into the history of American coinage in the late 1970s, a period marked by technological transition, economic struggles, and the relentless march of progress. And when collectors bid on these coins at auctions, the atmosphere is electric, with seasoned numismatists, wealthy investors, and passionate hobbyists all battling to own a piece of history that cannot be replicated, and prices escalate quickly as bidders recognize the rarity and significance of what they are pursuing. And auction records show that the 1979 D penny with dramatic errors has reached jaw-dropping figures, cementing its status as a multi-million-dollar treasure. And the irony of it all is that these coins were never meant to be valuable. They were never minted with the intention of being collectibles. They were simply mistakes, accidents that should have been destroyed, but instead they slipped through, circulated, and decades later emerged as some of the most desirable coins in the world. And that is the magic of coin collecting. It is the pursuit of rarity, the thrill of the hunt, the idea that something so ordinary as a penny could carry within it the potential to change lives. And that is why every collector, every hobbyist, every dreamer searches their change jars, their piggy banks, their coin rolls, because hidden among them could be a 1979 penny worth $3 million, and if you find one with a double die obverse, or a dramatic off-center strike with the date intact, or a transitional planchet error, or a clear repunched mintmark, then you may very well have discovered a life-changing treasure. And what makes this story even more exciting is that there is no set limit to the possibilities, because every coin tells its own unique story. No two errors are exactly alike, and each anomaly makes the coin more unique, and uniqueness is the heart of value. And as time passes, as more coins are lost, damaged, or locked away in private collections, the surviving examples only become rarer and more valuable, and so the 1979 penny will continue to rise in value as collectors compete for the few known examples, ensuring that this small copper coin from Denver remains one of the most famous and expensive pennies in history. A testament to the idea that mistakes can create masterpieces, and that hidden treasures often come in the most unexpected forms. So if you are watching this video, take a moment to think about the coins you handle every day, the pennies you ignore or pass over without a second thought, because one of them could be a 1979 penny carrying an error so rare that it could be worth $3 million. And if you find one, it could be the discovery that changes your life forever. And today's incredible story revolves around one of the most fascinating modern rarities in U.S. coinage, the 2013 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that to the untrained eye looks like nothing more than ordinary pocket change, yet to seasoned collectors, error specialists, and numismatists around the world it represents a potential fortune, because certain rare examples of this coin have been discovered with minting errors and anomalies so dramatic that they can fetch as much as $1 million at auction. And this is where the magic of coin collecting shines brighter than ever, because the idea that a coin minted only a little over a decade ago, a coin worth just 1 cent by face value, can transform into a life-changing treasure worth 7 figures is almost unbelievable. And yet it is completely real. Because history has shown time and again that errors and mistakes at the US Mint can elevate ordinary coins into extraordinary rarities, and the 2013 penny is a perfect modern-day example. And to understand why, we must dive into the world of minting technology, error types, collector demand, and the historical context that makes this coin so valuable. And as we explore this together, I want you to imagine checking your pocket change, your coin jars, your piggy banks, or even your bank rolls and stumbling upon a 2013 penny that looks a little different. Maybe the design is off-center. Maybe the lettering looks doubled. Maybe the color of the metal seems unusual, and at first you shrug it off, but then under closer inspection you realize you are holding one of the rarest modern era coins in existence. A coin that specialists are willing to pay hundreds of thousands or even $1 million for. And that is why this story is so thrilling, because it reminds us all that treasures are hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those with sharp eyes and an understanding of what to look for. And the 2013 penny is particularly important because it represents the Union Shield reverse design that replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 2010. Meaning that this coin is still relatively new in design history, and with new designs often come new minting challenges, and those challenges can lead to unusual mistakes, and collectors always pay premiums for the earliest and most dramatic examples of errors on a relatively fresh design. And one of the most famous and valuable errors for the 2013 penny comes in the form of double die obverse varieties, where the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date 2013 itself appear double due to a misalignment in the die creation process. And while minor doubling can be interesting, it is the dramatic doubled dies that truly bring in the big money, and some of these have sold for tens of thousands in earlier years. But in pristine condition, with dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye, they can climb into the 6- and 7-figure range. making them some of the most sought after modern errors. And another key error type for 2013 pennies includes off-center strikes where the coin design is struck away from the center of the planchet, leaving a crescent of blank metal on one side and a distorted design on the other. And the rule of thumb is simple: the more dramatic the off-center strike while still showing a full date and mintmark, the more valuable the coin becomes. And examples with more than 50% off-center strikes are considered extremely rare, especially for modern pennies, because the US mint's technology today is far more advanced than it was decades ago, which means catching errors is easier and fewer mistakes escape, making any dramatic errors that do survive significantly more valuable. And then there are broad strike errors where the collar that normally holds the coin during striking malfunctions, allowing the design to spread outwards, giving the coin a warped, flattened look. And although broad strikes are known across many years, finding them in modern coins like the 2013 penny adds extra significance because of their rarity. And we cannot forget about clipped planchet errors where a portion of the coin's edge is missing because the blank was improperly cut from the metal sheet, creating curved or straight bites missing from the coin's edge. And these errors, when combined with a full visible date of 2013, become highly collectible because they are both rare and dramatic in appearance. And then we come to transitional errors, which are among the most valuable of all. And for 2013 pennies, this means the possibility of coins struck on the wrong planchets, such as dime planchets, foreign coin planchets, or blanks of different metal compositions. And these transitional mistakes are worth enormous sums of money because they represent major minting oversights, and collectors are always eager to add them to their collections. And some transitional error pennies from other years have sold for hundreds of thousands. And it is not unreasonable to imagine a dramatic, well-preserved 2013 transitional error reaching or surpassing the $1 million mark, especially given the rarity of modern transitional errors making it out of the mint. And then we also must consider repunched mintmarks, although modern technology has largely reduced these occurrences. Some varieties still exist where the D or S mintmarks were struck more than once, leaving a shadowed or overlapping effect, and collectors of modern varieties love these small details because they tell the story of how minting processes evolved over time. And speaking of minting processes, the 2013 pennies are especially intriguing because they are composed of zinc cores with copper plating, a composition that is far less durable than earlier all-copper pennies, which means that high-grade, pristine condition errors are exceptionally rare because the softer zinc cores corrode, spot, or wear out quickly, and this makes any surviving mint state or proof-like error pennies from 2013 even more desirable, because they not only represent rare minting mistakes but also survival against the natural deterioration of their composition. And this is where the story of value becomes more interesting, because coin collectors place a massive premium not only on rarity but also on condition, and when a coin combines both, as the 2013 penny does in some of its rarest error forms, the price soars to astronomical levels. And auction houses have already seen modern penny errors selling for surprising sums, and experts predict that as more collectors enter the hobby and more attention is drawn to modern rarities, the demand for coins like the 2013 penny will only continue to increase, pushing values higher and higher. And while older error coins from the mid-20th century have already cemented their place in numismatic history, modern errors like the 2013 penny are still emerging, still being discovered in rolls, collections, and circulation, which means that the story is not over. In fact, it is just beginning, and that makes this journey even more exciting because right now, at this very moment, anyone could stumble upon $1 million coin without even realizing it. And imagine the feeling of finding a coin in your change that most people would spend without a second thought, only to realize it is worth more than a house, more than a luxury car, more than most people earn in a lifetime. That is the thrill of coin collecting, and that is why the 2013 penny has earned its place among the great modern rarities. And beyond the physical errors themselves, there is also the cultural significance of the coin, because Abraham Lincoln, whose portrait graces the obverse, has long been a symbol of resilience, leadership, and history, and pairing his iconic image with the Union Shield reverse design symbolizes unity and strength. And when errors appear on these designs, they become metaphors for imperfection in a system that strives for perfection, and collectors are drawn to that symbolism as much as the physical rarity, because owning one of these coins is not just about owning metal, it is about owning a piece of history, a story, a symbol, and this is why wealthy collectors are willing to bid enormous amounts for them, and why the 2013 penny, despite being so new, has already achieved legendary status in certain circles. And if you are watching this video, you might be wondering what you should look for, and the answer is simple but crucial. Check every 2013 penny you encounter for signs of doubling in the lettering or date. Look for off-center designs, check the edges for clips, pay attention to the size and shape of the coin in case of broad strikes. Weigh the coin to see if it matches the standard weight, or if it is off, which might indicate a wrong planchet, and always examine mintmarks carefully, because the more you look, the higher your chances of finding something extraordinary. And remember that rarity is not always obvious at first glance. Sometimes it takes patience, knowledge, and persistence to uncover. But for those who do, the reward can be life-changing, because the right 2013 penny error can be worth $1 million. And as time goes on and more people search, fewer will remain available, and the value of those that are discovered will only climb higher. So never underestimate the potential hiding in plain sight, because the coin in your hand right now might just be one of the rarest treasures in the world.